Hey yo, what's going on everybody? My name is Tylarious. In today's video, we're talking about how much money you are going to need for the new Los Santos Drug Wars DLC. Yes, how much it's going to cost, how much you're going to need to get started with it, and how much money it will be to basically get everything for this DLC, alright? We're basing this information off of past and previous DLC trends and the information that we've already received from Rockstar for this particular Los Santos Drug Wars DLC. Alright? Before we go any further though, if you guys enjoyed the video and the content, make sure you drop a like, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you don't miss out any future content like money guides, tutorials, and updates for this Los Santos Drug Wars DLC, which will be coming out in just a couple of days, alright? So let's go ahead and get started. What is the amount that you're going to need? How much money is this DLC going to take? Now, we know from basically every single DLC that's ever dropped, you have basically a entry fee, you know, the amount that this the bare minimum just to get started with the DLC, and then you have, you know, how much money just to have fun, right? To get maybe not everything, but a good chunk of it. And then you're going to have the overall total, which everything is going to cost. And, you know, I've made these videos for every single DLC. And, I mean, not trying to toot my own horn. It's not like that. But they are pretty accurate. That's pretty close to what it is. Just because you follow trends and you understand. All right? And in addition to that, I want you guys to let me know how much you think the DLC is going to cost and where your numbers are. You can just post that in the comments down below. All right? So, what we know from Rockstar, we're going to have a acid lab. We're going to have a vehicle mobile acid lab attached to that vehicle, and then we know from leaks there's going to be 50 vehicle slots, some new weapons, more than likely new clothes, probably a couple of tattoos here or there, etc. Right? So let's go ahead and talk about the big major chunk of the expense here. Let's talk about the 50 vehicle slot. So on average with upgrades, I'm not saying that all these vehicles will be cars that you can buy, and this won't be day one. We won't get all 50 vehicles day one, even if it's 50 vehicles total. But if that's the case, if we do get 50 vehicles through drip-fed content and then from initial day release, we're probably going to see roughly 1.5 million, and that's with upgrades. Not all the cars will be 1.5 million. Some will be less than that. And then with upgrades, they'll be roughly a million. Some vehicles will be upwards of 2 million, plus upgrades around 2.3 to 2.5 million, right? So, on average, you're going to have 1.5 million for the vehicles. At 50 vehicles, you're talking basically 75 million. Now, again, that's going to be stretched out throughout the whole entire, you know, DLC with drip-fed content. And that's only if we get a total of 50 vehicles like what's been suggested from the actual leaks, okay? Next up, let's talk about the acid lab. Now, we know from past experience from buying other locations, there's going to be some upgrades involved with these acid labs, okay? So I'm predicting that roughly 2.5 million on average. You'll have some locations that are a little bit cheaper. We don't know how many locations there are going to be. It could just be one. But hopefully, if it's up in Blaine County, this number is going to be lower, right? But I'm saying on average, with upgrades, we're looking at 2.5 million to 3 million, okay? So I'm thinking that the actual locations will be around 800,000 to roughly $1 million, plus about maybe anywhere between 1 to 1.5 million for the upgrades. Like, for example, take a bunker, right? You can buy a cheap bunker, a Chumash location at 1.6 million. Then you have an extra million in upgrades. You can buy a, you know, Coco lab for X amount, but you're going to have about $1 million in upgrades between, you know, the equipment and the staff. Basically, all the locations are going to have something similar to that, which has been represented in the past. Now, this is looking like what's been suggested, like a Bikers, you know, like Part 2 or like a 2.0 Bikers type kind of DLC. It's looking kind of like that, maybe with a hint of some gun running in there, right? So if we can go based on that, that's roughly what the locations are going to cost. So let's say 2.5 on average, maybe upwards to 3 million for the actual physical location. Then we know that from Rockstar themselves, we're getting either a Brigade conversion to the new Brigade 6x6, or we're getting a brand new Brigade 6x6 vehicle that is separate from the current Brigade vehicle that we have in the game so far. And in my opinion, it doesn't matter whether or not we convert the existing Brigade or we buy a new one. I think that the overall price with upgrades, adding like the additional acid lab, which what they talk about from the Newswire post, we're looking at roughly 3 million with upgrades for either the Brigade conversion to the new Brigade 6x6 or buying the Brigade 6x6 and then just adding the upgrades. So I'm thinking roughly 3 million for that. And once again, referring back to the post, the leaked content from Allocator, we're looking at possibly 4 new weapons. And from the past history from weapons that have been released for DLCs, I'm guesstimating roughly 1.5 million for the weapons. Now, there could be challenges, in-game challenges that we complete to get these weapons for free. Now, that's a possibility. But if not, I think a total of those weapons will run roughly about 300 to 350,000. It's kind of been around the average range for that. So you're looking at, with 4 new weapons, if they do cost around that amount, if you don't get any kind of challenges to unlock them for free, you're looking at probably around 1.5 million. Then you tack on clothes, some tattoos, things like that. Probably roughly around 1 million. Hopefully we don't get anything like the Arena War clothes, which were, several $100,000 per apparel item, right? Which racked up the amount. But I'm guesstimating, probably around 1 million. It could go a little bit higher than that. So if you take all this and you add it up for a grand total, you're looking at roughly $83 million. And that's only if the leaked information is true about us getting 50 new vehicle slots. Now, not all those could be personal vehicles, but if we do get all 50, I'm guesstimating that's going to be the average price range of about 1.5 per vehicle, all right? And again, that will be spread out. Now, let's talk about how much you're going to need just to get started. And I think it stays the same, which it has been for every single DLC, or roughly every single DLC. You're only going to need about 5 million to get started, okay? Roughly 2.5 for the actual lab itself, and then roughly 3 for the new Brigade with the upgrades. So maybe a little bit on the higher side, 5.5 to 6 million to get everything, just for the bare minimum, just to get the DLC started. And again, it could be a little bit lower than that, but that's roughly what it's always been for every single DLC. It's been about 3 to 6 million to get started for the actual DLC. All right. Now, say you want to get started to have a little bit of fun, right? Maybe get a couple of vehicles. It's a good idea just to have about at least 10 million on hand to get a few vehicles, to have some fun with it, get some clothing, all that good stuff. So, just to summarize, if the leaks from Allocator are true and we do get the 50 vehicle slots, you're looking at roughly, around 83 million for everything with all drip-fed content. But again, just to get started, around roughly 6 million. If you want to have some fun, about 10 million. Get started, have a couple of vehicles, get some clothes, stuff like that, all right? In the comments down below, give me your prediction. How much do you think the DLC is going to cost overall? What do you think you need to get started? Let me know what you guys think, all right? Thank you so much for watching the video. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel for the ills or reals content in the game. Smash that like button. See you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out. Yeah.